Picture this. You're standing at the finish line of something you've wanted desperately for years. Maybe it's the corner office with your name on the door. Maybe it's the relationship that finally worked out. Maybe it's the body you promised yourself you'd have, or the degree you sacrificed everything to earn. You've played this scene in your head countless times. You've convinced yourself that once you cross this threshold, life will transform. The weight will lift, the anxiety will disappear. You'll finally become the version of yourself you were always meant to be. So it happens. The offer comes through, the scale hits that magic number, you get the keys, the certificate arrives in the mail. And for those first few moments, you're floating. You feel this rush of accomplishment that makes every late night, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt suddenly make sense. You celebrate, you tell everyone, you take the photo for social media. Then morning comes. You open your eyes in the same bedroom. The light hits your face exactly like it did yesterday. You reach for your phone, you make breakfast, you catch your reflection in the bathroom mirror. And there's this moment, this terrible, quiet moment, where you realize nothing fundamental has changed. You're still the same person with the same thoughts, living in the same skin. The orchestra didn't start playing, the clouds didn't part. You're just standing there at the top of this mountain you killed yourself climbing, and instead of euphoria, you feel this strange hollowness. Because you organized your entire existence around reaching this point, and now that you're here, you're discovering that here feels a lot like there, only now you've got nowhere left to go. This phenomenon destroys more people than failure ever has. It ruins careers, relationships, and lives, and most people never even know it's happening to them. This is what psychologists have labeled the arrival fallacy. It's this deeply embedded illusion that happiness exists at a specific destination, that contentment is waiting for us at some future coordinate we just need to reach. We build our entire lives around this when-then equation. When I make 6 figures, then I'll relax. When I meet the right person, then I'll be fulfilled. When I lose the weight, then I'll finally like myself. We turn our actual lives into some kind of rehearsal. Today isn't real life, it's just preparation for real life. We're constantly telling ourselves that we're not quite there yet, but soon, very soon, we will be. And when we are, everything will click into place. Except it won't, because this whole framework is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how human beings actually work. Your brain wasn't built to deliver you to a state of permanent satisfaction. That's not what it's for. Your brain is an engine designed to keep you moving, hunting, striving, and wanting more. If our ancestors ever achieved lasting contentment, they would have stopped seeking food, stopped building shelter, and become somebody else's dinner. Dissatisfaction is the price of survival. It's hardwired into our neurology. The chemical behind this entire system is dopamine, and most people completely misunderstand what it does. They think dopamine is the reward itself, the pleasure you feel when you bite into dessert or cash the check. But that's not accurate. Dopamine isn't about having, it's about wanting. Dopamine is the voice in your head screaming that the thing you're chasing will finally make you happy. It's the anticipation, the craving, the obsession. It gets you out of bed at 5 in the morning to train. It keeps you working weekends. It makes you refresh your email 40 times waiting for the response that will change everything. But here's the cruel twist. The second you actually get what you wanted, the dopamine shuts off. The moment certainty replaces possibility, the chemical rush disappears. Think about the last major purchase you made. Maybe it was a car, a phone, some piece of technology you'd been eyeing for months. You researched every detail, you compared models, you imagined how different your life would be once you owned it. That buildup felt incredible. That was pure dopamine.
Then you bought it. You brought it home. For the first day, maybe the first week, it felt perfect. You couldn't stop looking at it. You showed it to friends. You felt like you'd made it. Fast forward a month, it's just another object you own. It gets scratched. It needs maintenance. The novelty has completely evaporated. You don't even think about it anymore.
This is what researchers call hedonic adaptation. Your brain has this powerful autopilot function that returns you to baseline no matter what happens.
Win the lottery or lose your job, within months, your happiness level will settle back to roughly where it was before. The mansion becomes just where you live. The promotion becomes just your job. The relationship becomes just your life. This is why the arrival fallacy is so psychologically devastating. When that dopamine crash hits, when the high fades and you're left feeling exactly like you did before, you don't blame the system, you blame yourself. You think maybe you aimed too low, maybe you need something bigger, better, more impressive. So you pick another target, you set another deadline, you start running again, absolutely certain that this time will be different. This time the achievement will stick. This time you'll finally arrive at the place where you get to stop running. But that place doesn't exist. There's this dark truth about success that nobody warns you about. We obsess over the tragedy of people who fail. We never talk about the tragedy of people who succeed. Look at astronauts who've been to space. There's documented research showing severe depression among people who've literally left the planet. These individuals spent decades preparing for one mission. They achieved something less than 600 humans in history have done. They saw Earth from orbit. They touched the absolute ceiling of human achievement. Then they came back. They're in their 40s. They still need to buy groceries, still need to sit in traffic, still need to figure out what to do with the rest of their lives. How do you wake up every morning when the most extraordinary thing you'll ever accomplish is already behind you? When you structure your entire identity around pursuing one specific thing, that pursuit becomes who you are. It gives you direction, purpose, a reason to exist. You're the entrepreneur building the startup, the athlete training for the championship, the student grinding toward graduation. But the second you cross that finish line, you lose the structure that held you together. You're not becoming anything anymore. You're just someone who did something once, and living in past accomplishments is a lonely, empty place to exist. This is why you see wildly successful people implode, why billionaires are miserable, why celebrities who have everything spiral into self-destruction. They reached the peak and discovered there's no oxygen up there. They realized the promised land they'd been sold their entire lives was a mirage. If you're betting your happiness on some future achievement, you're headed for catastrophic disappointment. You're delegating your well-being to a future version of yourself who doesn't exist yet. And when you finally become that person, you'll discover they have all the same doubts, fears, and insecurities you have right now. Because achievements don't rewire your brain. They don't fix what's broken inside you. So what's the alternative? Should we abandon ambition entirely? Just stop trying and accept mediocrity? Absolutely not. That's nihilism wearing a different mask, and it's just as destructive. The solution isn't eliminating goals, it's eliminating your dependence on goals for happiness. It's shifting your attention from outcomes to processes. Philosophers distinguish between two types of activities, telic and atelic. Telic activities are means to an end. You drive to arrive somewhere. You work to earn money. You study to pass the exam. The moment the end is reached, the activity loses all value. The purpose was never the activity itself. Atelic activities are different. You don't listen to music to reach the final note. You don't have dinner with friends to finish the meal. You don't play with your kids to complete the experience. The value is in the doing, not in reaching some end point. The people who maintain genuine happiness and avoid burnout are those who've learned to make their lives atelic. They transform goals into systems. A goal says, I want to publish a novel. This creates constant failure. Every day the book isn't done, you're losing. And the day it's finally finished, the purpose evaporates. A system says, I'm someone who writes every morning. This creates constant victory. Every time you sit down and write, you win. The satisfaction comes from the practice itself, not from some distant result. When you fall in love with the system, outcomes become byproducts instead of destinations. More importantly, you stop postponing your life. You stop waiting for permission to feel good about yourself. You find meaning in the ordinary Tuesday morning, in solving difficult problems, in the hard work itself, not just in the fantasy of what the work might eventually produce. We're sold this lie that we need to discover our purpose, as if purpose is a noun buried somewhere that we'll recognize when we find it and then possess forever. But purpose isn't a noun. Purpose is a verb. It's not something you have, it's something you're doing. It's something you're doing right now. If you're waiting for the day when everything aligns perfectly, when your bank account is full and your body is perfect and your career has peaked, when you can finally relax and enjoy your life, you're going to suffocate before that day comes. The arrival you're chasing is a myth. There's no there to get to. There's only here. There's only the climb. The summit is just a place to catch your breath and look at how far you've come before you find the next mountain to climb. Stop waiting to arrive. Stop treating today like it doesn't count. The credits will never roll. Nobody's coming to tell you that you've won and you can stop now. You're writing this story, starring in it, and watching it simultaneously. And it's playing right now, this very second. Don't waste it staring at some imaginary finish line that keeps moving every time you get close.